I don't want to hear about this ever again. Not even when they say in Spency, tell him again. What's up, my dudes? RF, this is all you had to do. Why does this seem so difficult for you to understand? It's mind baffles me how you continue to go so all over the place when in reality, deep down, you know what you're supposed to do. You know how to make these tracks with the proper width, the proper skill gap, the proper pre-made roughness and pre-made ruts. You know how to do it. Stop trying to do different shit. Why are you doing that? So this is the third round, I think it is, of the 2020 RF National Series Southwick, right? Listen, RF, there is no reason in hell for you to ever have less pre-made than this on any other track you ever do in the future. There is no reason for that. There is absolutely no reason for you to have any smaller of ruts or roughness on any of your future tracks ever again. I don't know why we can't come to that understanding here. It's just crazy to me how you still, the amount of extra skill gap this track has compared to pretty much all the other tracks in the past year or two is insanity. And it's so instantaneous. The track is fun right away. It's just great. I bet you qualifying was so much better on a track like this. Dude, this is it, man. So is this like a quote-unquote full-blown 17 pre-made style track? I don't think I would go as that far as to say that, but I certainly would say this is like 85 to 90% pre-made, or like 80, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 75 to 90% pre-made right here. So the ruts aren't quite as big as what you would expect on a 17 national, but the braking bumps and the roughness is hossing on this track. It's solid. The only thing it's kind of lacking just a little bit is just a little bit of that little bit more like 20% bigger ruts. But other than that, this track is perfect. It's perfect. I mean, dude, I can't explain how much more skill gap and fun factor and replayability and all that kind of shit it adds to a track when you have actual proper sized pre-made roughness and cool ass skill gap sections like this. That section right there is literally perfect. This is a literally 100% perfect skill gap motocross jump section right here. It's the perfect amount of skill gap for a section like this. And I don't say there's a perfect section on one of your tracks every day, okay? Dog, when I say that, I mean it. Being able to jump this, you can double this, you can triple it, you can roll it, you can quad it, you can almost 5 jump it, right? You're kind of either double, triple, quad, 5 and into these rollers, but it's just enough skill gap to where if you're really, really good at this game, like 450 pro level, you can definitely jump it to this right here consistently, right? It is going to be a little difficult, and you are going to have to really be able to gauge your speed, but if you can jump it to that point, it's not like insanity, oh my God, you can only hit that 1 in 100 laps type section. It's still right there in that balanced skill gap point to where it's not super, ridiculously difficult, but it's still really difficult. You know what I mean? That this is the most perfect skill gappy section. That is such a separator right there. I can't even explain it. And then all this actual pre-made roughness that you're building, it's skill gap, dog. This is what you have to have. Oh my God, the killer SpongeBobs. But dude, this is what I've been saying. How long are we going to keep this bullshit charade up, acting like you don't need pre-made, or you can make it with just a little bit of pre-made? Why do you keep trying to do that? Look how much better this track is now that you've actually widened the track out back to what I call like a normal MX Simulator motocross track and not trying to do that weird-ass 1-to-1 scale super narrow crap you were trying to do at the first round at WW Ranch. Now you finally widened the track back out a little bit to where you feel like you can actually ride on the track. Holy shit, like what are you doing? Why do you keep trying to do the 1-to-1 scale crap? This is so much better than that. Dog, it's still a video game. Yeah, you're making a replica track, but 1-to-1 scale just doesn't really work in this game. And I'll tell you one thing, it's the exact same way on the Supercross tracks too. All that bullshit you've been doing with smaller jumps and smaller berms and tighter tracks and all that crap you've been doing in, 90% of the Supercross tracks this year, it's the exact same difference. Stop trying to do shit so 1-to-1 scale. You're killing the entire feeling of the game when you do that. You're killing the entire track design when you do that. And what better example than this track right here when you finally go back to a normal width of the track, normal scaling, normal, damn near normal pre-made, It's great. You can have fun on it in single player. You can have fun on it in multiplayer with 5 people, with the road on, with the road off. You can have fun on it in the pro race. Everybody has fun. It's a win-win for everybody. What the fuck? Keep doing this. Why did you ever stop doing this? I will never forget. I'll never forget when we was sitting there last year's outdoor series. I think it was round 2. It's like Fox Raceway, right? Me, Hunter Root, Alexis Leclerc. We were sitting there. It was a totally flat track and highway, okay? Like basically no pre-made at all. And I will never forget when the RF official, specifically Jeremy Cohenhauer, one of the main dudes in RF, was sitting there acting like, oh, this is about all the pre-made we can do, bro. This is how the tracks are supposed to be. What are you boys talking about? Me, Hunter Root, Alexis Leclerc were in there like, what the fuck is this, dog? You have to have pre-made. Why are you thinking you can just do, 90% of road and 10% pre-made? You can't do that. I'll never forget how much some of the RF officials acted like we didn't know what we was talking about. We were stupid. We didn't understand. We were just complaining. Like, oh my God. And then here we are a year later, and it's like they're doing the polar opposite of what they thought was the right kind of track designs last year. They're literally doing the polar opposite of that. God, even I couldn't have predicted me being this right all along. I mean, I know I'm the T-Sipper, the predictor. You guys know what it is, but holy shit. I have been spot on all along, dog. And some of you guys are going to take that in a cocky way, like, oh, Spencer's being real cocky. He's a know-it-all. Listen, you got to understand how many RF officials over the past 2 years and how many fellow pro racers and competitors have acted like I was just totally off the rocker, like I had no idea what I was talking about. Oh, you're so stupid, Spencer. You can't handle a road. You just got to get with the new times, man. A road's not going anywhere, bro. I can't tell you how many people have come into my Discord saying, oh, Spence, like actual pro racers in the game saying, oh, Spence, a road's going nowhere, dude. You just got to accept it, bro. And that's back in the days of when they were basically doing no pre-made at all, okay? And some of the dudes, some of the people that just act like RF can do nothing wrong was acting like RF was doing nothing wrong back then. Oh, it's not that bad. Stop complaining, Spencer. Holy shit. You see why. Of course I'm going to be like, I told you so. Of course. It's because of how much you boys acted like I didn't know what I was talking about this whole time. And here we are. The developer of the game coming out and saying the game wasn't made for it. It's nightmarish to even try to develop. He says that it's a fool's errand. He'd rather work on stuff he can actually make progress on. A road development is completely over. Dog, just accept that you've been wrong. Just accept it. It is what it is at this point. You've been wrong. All of you people that was thinking that this high amount of a road and basically no pre-made, and I'm including all you top dudes in RF that thought that, Jeremy Cohenhauer, list goes on and on, Checkers, Chris Riesenberg, It just goes on and on and on. All you boys that were thinking you were going to be able to just do this without pre-made, you are the problem. You just did not understand it. Race Carlin, I will never forget how many times Chris Riesenberg, a.k.a. Checkers, and Race Carlin have went on there on the forums when people were in here complaining about this shit for the past 2 years, going in there and saying, all you guys do is ever complain. You don't respect the people that are doing stuff for the community. You're just being terrible for the community. You're just complaining. RF, what the fuck? You've got to be able... That's one of your biggest issues you've had the past 2 or 3 years. You cannot take criticism anymore. You just can't. You can't. I mean, I'm telling you, you can go back through the history books of the forums. There is, I would say, hundreds of occasions where Chris Riesenberg, a.k.a. Checkers, Race Carlin, multiple different RF officials, of course, they're not really in RF anymore now, but then is what I'm talking about. There is so many occasions where somebody would just have a disagreement with how they were doing the erode or how much they had it on in a pro race or whatever, and they would just go in there and try to shut them down. Like their opinion is invalid. All you're doing is complaining. You have to take that criticism. You idiots, you got to understand, we're trying to help you. We're trying to help you make the game better. It's just so, it just mind baffles me how many RF officials are so defensive. Anytime you want to say anything about anything that they're doing, you're instantly a hater. You're instantly terrible for the community. You know, you just complain all the time. You don't respect the people that are trying to do stuff for the game. It's just insane. It's literally almost to the point where you feel like you can't even try to give criticism about anything. And listen, I get there's a difference between constructive criticism and, yo, what the fuck is this? But you've needed that for the past 2 years, RF, for how far you've been off and how all over the place you've been with your track designs. Let's do this much pre-made. Nope. Let's do no pre-made, higher road. Nope. Let's try just insanity 10 times too high a road on the supercross tracks. Nope. Let's roll off the berms. Let's make the berms smooth. Let's make no big jumps on the supercross tracks. Let's make the whoops smaller. You have deserved the what the fuck is this reaction multiple times over the past 2.5 years. Multiple times. When you go in there and you've got the erode literally an enduro cross track on the supercross tracks and we're literally in first gear around the entire track for the last 5 laps of the 450 main event, there is multiple times that you have been deserving of more than just quote-unquote, oh, hey, I'm giving you the nice constructive criticism. You've needed a slap in the face with how far you've been off with this shit and how you've continued to go down this road, this endless revolving cycle of acting like you're going to be able to get this, you know, perfect pre-made with perfect amount of erode. Let's change this. Let's try that. This infinite, never-ending beta test on something that was never even made for the game. You have deserved that. I'm just telling you. If you were just, let's just say you eased a road into the game. Okay, let's take a little trip down memory lane back in 2018, Supercross season. Let's just say you eased into it, right? You just did a little bit of a road. And let's just say by the end of that 2018 outdoor series, you were then starting to actually beef up the erode to a certain level, then maybe my opinions wouldn't have been so harsh, but that's not at all what you did, Checkers. That's not at all what you did. You did the exact opposite of that. You shoved, slammed erode in everybody's face, whether they liked it or not, to about the maximum point you possibly could run it. I will never forget those first 5, 6, 7 Supercross rounds in 2018. It was a fucking joke. I was like, what are they doing? You had such a high road level for a system that had not even really been tested in the game that much. What were you thinking? Pushing that so hard and doing it to that level. It was crazy. I was like, okay, they messed up on the first round in 2018. It was insane. Their road was insane. They're definitely going to have it, way lower than that in the next race. Nope. And some of you guys might be saying, oh, Spencer, in 2018, it wasn't even RF. It was actually EMF. Well, no, that's actually not really true because the North American EMF Pro Supercross Series in 2018 was basically just RF. That's what it was. There was a lot of the RF officials still involved in it. It just wasn't technically named RF, but there was still a ton of RF officials that were working on that series and making the tracks, and Chris Riesenberg, aka Checkers, one of the biggest dudes that's pushed this whole road thing, and he was one of the biggest head honchos in RF in 2017, so it still is very RF influenced, okay? Even though that was technically EMF, it's still RF influence, and it's not like it's gotten better. It's not like, oh, RF come back in 2019 and 2020 and it was so much better. No, you could actually make the argument that it's been worse since, quote unquote, the official RF has come back. You can certainly make the argument that, you know, the 18 Supercross tracks were better than the 2020 Supercross tracks. You can definitely make that argument. You can for sure make the argument that the 18 national tracks were better than the 19 national tracks. You know what I'm saying? So it's all on how you want to look at it. I mean, and then here we are 2 years later, and it's like, even some of the Supercross rounds this year, I was like, really? You're going to do that much road? Really? Come on, bro. But either way, I mean, it's just like, how much longer do we have to play this charade? How much longer before you get back to making 17 style tracks? It's just, that's the inevitable. A road development is over. Stop the charade. Stop the bullshit. You are tricking yourself. You are pretending yourself into thinking you're going to somehow be able to make a road actually, truly, full-blown work in this game properly. You're tricking yourself if you're thinking that. But either way, this track was fucking solid right here. I will come out here and tell you, some of you boys, hater boys, think I'm like a big RF. I can never accept anything they do. They're just so terrible. I come out and tell you when they do something good. Every time they do something good. I came out and told you when they made that really, really good one singular Supercross track this year. It was like the third to last Supercross track where they actually widened the track a little bit, made, you know, normal, bigger Supercross rhythms like they used to have back in 17. You know, they weren't so concerned about the little bullshit 1-to-1 scale. We can't let anybody hit anything even remotely close to a quad anywhere. Oh my God, we just can't allow that, right? They actually opened up the track a little bit, allowed you to hit a little bit of a more skill gap, bigger line, made the whoops a little bigger. And I came out here and told you, I was like, this shit's great. This shit's amazing. It's the same way with this track right here. Yeah, some of these ruts still feel like they're just a little bit made around a road, but now they're starting to get into that realm where you can play on this in single player and still have fun with it. You can play on this track without a road and still have fun with it, right? Yeah, the ruts are not quite as big as what they would have been in 2017. I think the roughness is basically just as much as it would have been on a 17. They got the roughness hossing. They got the roughness badass on this track, dog. I really, really like this kind of roughness level. I think it's very skill gappy, but you can still go fast on it. It's really cool. And obviously you're going to have some sections on certain tracks that are a little more smooth just naturally. I understand that. Like a lot of the first corner areas need to be a little more smooth. You don't want a shitload of ruts through that. And just some sections have more smooth areas on particular different nationals. But what I'm talking about is, as a whole, you need to keep at least this level of pre-made across the board of your national tracks. At least this level of pre-made. Like I say, I think you can even go a little bit more, like another 10 to 20% more specifically on some of the different rut sizes, and you might be able to go just a hair more on the braking bumps and the roughness, just a hair more, depending on what kind of track you're on, you know. If you're on like a red bud or something, you can make the roughness just a little bit more than this. But, and obviously this is a sand track, so you don't want the ruts too crazy, like big and individual. So I think they did a pretty halfway decent job with being able to go in and out of the ruts like they're sand ruts, right? But still giving you enough roughness, skill gap, but like, don't ever go back to less pre-made than this. I don't know how much more it takes than you doing it. it being amazing, feeling great, qualifying being great. Hell, even if you ran a road in this in the pro race, I'm sure it was still great. It's just great all the way around when you do this much pre-made. That's what I'm saying. When you do any less pre-made than this, any smaller of ruts or roughness, then it just gets to the point to where it's not as fun in single player. It's not as fun without a road. It's like it's all built around just for the pro race. Whereas this feels like it's a little more made for everybody to have fun on, dude. That's the whole point. Some of you RF boys you get so defensive, you get so mad. All I'm trying to do is help the game. All I'm trying to do is give you my opinions over pro racing in this shit since 2015, okay? That's all I'm trying to do is help you make the game better. That's it. Yeah, I've been harsh on you a lot of times. Yeah, I've given you the brutal honesty a lot of times. And guess what? You needed it. That's why I gave it to you. Had you just been a little bit off the past 2.5 years, had your unprofessionalism just been a little bit unprofessional and not like, oh, what the fuck? Had you just been a little bit, it wouldn't have been this harsh of opinions. But you've been so far off. You've been so unprofessional in certain occasions that I had to say it like this. You have to be slapped in the face like this. It's just like, dog, like, the problem is when dudes do get an RF, they get this big man, overruling mentality that they know best. They know better than anybody else, any just random person, especially a YouTuber voicing his opinion on it. They know better than what he's saying. They know what's better to do for the game. It's just like, dog, you got to open up your ears a little more. You got to be able to listen to the broad scale of the community a little bit more than you have been doing. Like, damn, it's just so insane to me. Yeah, I mean, there's been a few dudes in RF that have kept it pretty professional with me. Jeremy Cohen, I ain't never had a real, unprofessional problem with him. Wheels, I ain't never had an unprofessional problem with him. There's been quite a few dudes in RF that have been pretty solid dudes, but it's the few, rotten apples that you get in there that it tarnishes everything. It diminishes everything, makes it all look more unprofessional. So you just got to be able to take people's opinions like, damn. And you need to be taking people's opinions that have actually been pro racing in this game for more than just since you've been doing a road. I'm talking about dudes that have actually been full-blown top 10 450 pro level racing since before you've been doing a road, okay? I'm not talking about these dudes that just got into the 250 class in 2018 or they just got into pro racing in 2019. I'm not saying their opinions are completely invalid, but I'm saying their opinions are definitely skewed because they don't remember and or understand how much fun the game really was back in the full-blown 450 pro racing days before a road, back in 17, 16, 15, 14, right? They don't remember that. It'd be impossible for them to know how that was. So you're getting a skewed opinion from those people. So you got to be real careful listening to people like that. This is where it's at. Why does it feel like we only get 1 or 2 of these kind of tracks a year now? When it seemed like back 17, it was like every track was this good. Now it's like we just get 1 or 2 of these a year, It's like, damn, RF. Come on, dude. I believe in you, bro. Just do it. All you got to do is do it.